الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك وأنعم على عبده ورسوله محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. The chairman of this occasion, distinguished brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I was not actually expecting to be a book reviewer, even though I was among the team that reviewed the book. So I did not want to elaborate in my speech. I only wanted to make some few remarks. Let me begin by acknowledging the fact that my times with the book, I claim that your potentials are very wonderful ones. First, because I enjoy the language and approach of the writer in dealing with the issues. And second, for her convincing arguments while giving advice to Muslim women on how best they can get closer to Allah, their Creator. Thirdly, and most importantly, because of my desire in the topic of the book. It is indisputable that our lives on earth are short, and our earthly sojourn is transient. Hence, the need for all of us to strive on fulfilling our potentials toward attainment of certain accomplishments in this earthly life. However, many of us fall short of harnessing our potentials towards achieving excellence in all we do. Even though we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves among his servants those who strive for perfection in all their endeavors. To this end, a popular Arab poet, Al-Mutanabbi, said in one of his poems, وَلَمْ أَرَ مِنْ عُيُوبِ النَّاسِ شَيْئًا كَنَقْصِ الْقَادِرِينَ عَلَى التَّمَامِ. Among all the human defects, I did not see worse than the failure of those with the potential, capacities, and competencies to exceed. Just going through the table of contents of this book, there seems to be a wisdom in their arrangements as it relates to what the book is targeted at. It started with knowing who Allah is, which ultimately results to loving Allah and obeying Him. These two things are recipe for success in this life and the life in the hereafter. What amazed me with the chapter is how the author opens it with the verse of Surah An-Nisa, which talk about being in company of the VIPs as a reward for obedience, which stems from knowing Allah and loving Him. Allah said, وَمَنْ يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَالرَّسُولَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ وَالصِّدِّيقِينَ وَالشُّهَدَاءِ وَالصَّالِحِينَ وَحَسُنَ أُولَٰئِكَ رَفِيقًا. And whomsoever obeys Allah and the Messenger, then they will be in the company of those on whom Allah has bestowed His grace. Of the prophets, the Siddiqun, the martyrs, and the righteous. وَحَسُنَ أُولَٰئِكَ رَفِيقًا. And how excellent these companions are. ذَلِكَ الْفَضْلُ مِنَ اللَّهِ وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ عَلِيمًا. Such is the bounty from Allah, and Allah is sufficient as all knower. The second episode of the book talks about the help of Allah, under which I have seen many ways to get. Powerfully, it started with the hadith of Abu Huraira radiallahu anhu that talks about Allah coming to the help of a person based on the person's perception of Allah and his dedication to worship and sincerity. As humans, we are constantly battling with two enemies, namely the shaitan and our inner selves, which is what in the next episode of the book. Fighting our inner selves is one of the most difficult battles. If one is able to win it, then he is saved. Otherwise, destruction is inevitable. And that is what is referred by ulama as al-jihad al-akbar, the greatest jihad. Because If you cannot you cannot fight your outer enemy. If you fail if you fail to fight your inner one. So Muhammad opens this episode with the most often repeated hadith of Sayyidina Nu'man ibn Bashir that talks about the heart at the head of the organs of all the body. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Ala inna fil jasadi mudghatan idha salahat salaha al-jasadu kulluh wa idha fasadat fasada al-jasadu kulluh ala wa hiya al-qalb." Beware, there is a piece of flesh in the body. If it becomes good, that is, if it is reformed, the whole body becomes good. And if it gets spoiled, the whole body gets spoiled, and that is the heart. The next episode is that of al-haya, modesty, which comes up as a result of having sound heart. A quotation when going gets stopped, you know you are on the right path. At the opener of another chapter, will you not be tested? This reminds me of the beginning of Surah Al-Ankabut, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Alif Lam Mim, أحسب الناس أن يتركوا أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون. Do the people think they will be left to say we believe and they will not be tried? Moreover, the world is a home of test. So after being able to struggle your inner self, to have a sound heart by Allah's help, then test will come your way. To help you ascertain the reality of the soundness of your heart, then keep on the struggle until you die. Conclusively, Jannah will be your abode, so long you remain steadfast. So the author concluded with, after the storm, things come down. Notwithstanding that this book is written to assist our Muslim sisters to regain their potentials, to become the best version of themselves as Allah wishes them to be, the book is also useful to Muslim brothers, both young and old. And it gives them a motivation and inspires them to believe that they can always turn themselves for the better and become the ideal Muslims by changing their lives positively. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. Verily, Allah does not change the condition of the people until they change what is in themselves. So this book will definitely serve as an alternative to comfort not only Muslim sisters, but the Muslim brothers alike in their times of rest, instead of watching movies or wasting their times on social media. By reading this book, they will have the conscious efforts to reclaim, realize, and actualize their potentials for greater achievements and accomplishments in this life. On this note, I would like to conclude by congratulating our sister, Muhammad, for exploiting her potential to achieve this feat. I want to advise our Muslim sisters to create time to read this book, along with their younger ones, especially the females. I remember this being the habit that our mothers used to train us when we were young, to instill good habits in our hearts. May Allah bless this work and accept it from our sister as an act of continuous charity. Sadaqatul Jariyah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.